Hi everyone, Vroom Hoach over here. So today the I'm going to be talking about some practical tips and your first experience at a competition. So this video is going to be for people that haven't competed before. I'm going to give you some realities about it that most people won't actually tell you, and I'm going to give you some like practical tips and mindsets you can have going in that are actually gonna help you, or at least like kind of become more familiar with the experience before it actually happens. So the first one, I'm gonna kind of destroy like a false truth that's gonna be put out there. I don't think like people often say if for your first competition is go out there and have fun. Flat out, you're not gonna have fun. It's gonna be a miserable experience up until it's over. The main reason I'd recommend for someone to go to a comp is to learn how to be able to conquer themselves. But I don't think you're gonna have fun. It's never fun until it's over. And even at the highest level, a lot of people still don't have fun until it's over. Like there are some freaks that genuinely enjoy the experience, like a John Jones or a Conor McGregor or someone like that. But for the most part, people fucking hate the experience. It's just most people find it miserable. Some people are weird and actually like it, but those are very far and few between. You're most likely not going to be that person. So that's the first thing first. The next thing, okay, so that's just something I wanted to like make very clear. Most important thing for you to know. Okay, the next thing, okay, this is actionable advice right here. When you're preparing for the comp, okay, just mentally, and when you go into it, expect to be tired and gassed and hurting during the first 10 seconds of the fight. As soon as the fight starts, you're going to feel like utter shit. There is no, your body won't feel good. You won't feel strong. You're going to lock grips and you're going to be like, holy fuck, I am gassed. Your joints will hurt. Your muscles will hurt. Your head will have brain fog. You'll feel like fainting and it's going to fucking like be a tough time. It is not going to be easy the first time you go into a comp. That's, um, that's just the nature of it. That's something I still tell myself whenever I go compete. I expect myself to be gassed within the first 10 seconds, and I expect it to be a tough time. And I think that is a very powerful mindset because you're just like, you're accepting, you're stepping into the fire. You're not going to be concerned when you are gassed. You're not going to be concerned if things don't go your way, or if your muscles are hurting, or if your joints hurt, or if someone does something that you don't expect. You're just like, okay, fuck, I kind of expected this. I knew it was going to be like, I knew it was going to be a fucking tough time, and you go in there and you conquer it. That's the idea of a comp. It's the joy of overcoming the adversity. That's why you're there. You're there to almost go on a little bit of a David Goggins type of adventure. That's how I would describe it. And I think that's how people will actually get the most benefit from it. And now, here's some here's some another advice in terms of preparation. So I'm going to assume you're doing a local comp 2 or 3 weeks out. Um, like this is like honestly, this advice I'm going to give is better if you're a few months out, but this is the best technical advice that I give. If you want to win your local white belt comp, your first comp that you're doing, okay, I'd recommend that you have one move from guard and you get really fucking good at that move. From everything that I've seen in local competitions, the person that wins their first comp at white belt has one fucking meme move, and they just hit it on everyone because white belts just don't know what they're doing. So it's just like, so I've seen people hit a footlock. I've seen people hit like a very specific spider guard triangle, but they just spam that over and over again. And as long as you just get to that position and shoot your technique and do it as hard as you can, maybe not even as hard as you can, but you just do it consistently and you can do it to like a minimum proficiency, you're probably going to be pretty well off. If I'm choosing a move to do from bottom, then I'd recommend a move with easily accessible grips or a position that you get to a lot in training. So if you get to like a collar grip in training, I'd recommend just like a really good collar drag. Just fucking get really good at just doing that collar drag and rep it out over and over. Learn to do it really hard and really fast. And like I think explosive moves are good for your first comp. Okay, like you're going to be naturally explosive. If you're going into a comp and your adrenaline is pumping, everything's going to be going. You're just going to be doing shit as hard as you can. So I recommend explosive moves in that way. And then if you're on top, literally, like, this is the hack against white belts, is bullfighting them. Like, literally just get two grips and step outside their legs and start walking around to side control, or walking around towards their head more like. It just I haven't seen one white belt that actually knows how to defend a bullfighter at a local comp. It's just like they'll probably hip escape, do some silly thing, and then you'll pass. Again, if you just do that, you don't even need to do it with that much intensity. You just need to be intense enough so that they don't break your posture. But other than that, if you just grab their legs and you just walk around, you're going to be good. It's just white belts have no like dexterity with their legs or anything. It's going to be, not going to say it's going to be easy, but it's going to be a lot simpler in your path to victory if you just do that. Those are the most common things I've observed when it comes to your first comp and local comps, especially the white belt division where everyone's kind of just getting their first one in. That's what I think is actually going to help. And then some other things people have kind of asked me about regarding comps, breathing. Again, going back into the theme of expect it to suck, expect it to be a miserable experience, expect to be tired, hurting, all this, all that. A lot of people have asked me about breathing. You're not going to be able to control your breathing on your first comp. It's such a new experience, and you haven't had like the minimum amount of experience you need to actually make a correction on it. It's just such a unique experience. You're not going to be able to like control your breathing in there. It's once you lock up, or everything you fucking know is going to go out the window. Like it's just not gonna like. That's why I'm emphasizing do one thing and just like not anything else, because like you're not, if you're a white belt entering your first comp, you're not going to be able to have some elaborate game plan where if you're at the higher levels, it's like, okay, I'm going to make my collar grip, my contingency is if my foot position is here and then they move in this direction. You're not going to be able to have that. That's just not going to happen. So yeah, just you're not going to be able to control your breathing. You don't have the experience to do it. If you want to do something beforehand, I'd recommend doing like there's an app called Breath Zone. They kind of do this like rhythmic breathing. That's something I really like to do a lot of the times when I'm competing. It kind of clears my mind and helps me go. But like honestly, that's not going to make the difference between winning or losing at a white belt level. That's like if it's your first comp. And the second one is nerves. I've had a lot of experience with nerves. I used to be very, very nervous, and I've got a process for actually getting over that. It's fairly quick, but again, for your first comp, your very, very first one, you're not going to be able to get rid of nerves. Your body's just, it's a new experience. Your body's just going to kick into overdrive. You're not going to know what's going to happen, and it's pretty hard to make the correction. And another thing, again, going back to the theme of it's going to be miserable, it feels like shit. Nerves do not feel fun. People try and delude themselves that is your body caring about whatever the fuck it is. It's just a fight or flight response because it is competition. But just, you're not going to be able to do anything about it. It's, again, going back, it's not going to be fun. It fucking sucks until it's over. Once it's over, it's the best thing in the world. Like, and if you win, like, man, that's a rare experience anyone has in life. That's a fucking, it's amazing. It's what when I was like 10 years old, I won my first comp, and that made me want to be like, okay, fuck, I want to do this. Okay, it's like that shit is fucking addictive. But in terms of nerves, man, you're not gonna be able to control it. It's gonna fucking If I had to describe it, if you haven't had nerves before, it's like, it's almost your body goes, you feel weak. Your body feels weak, and you start having these little twitches and shakes, and your stomach starts like contracting really weirdly, and it's like, and like I don't want to use the terms butterflies in your stomach, so it kind of feels like that, but just like for me, at least the experience is like you get almost like weak twitches in your stomach and in your body, and you can't really control 100% like your motor function. That's essentially what it is. At least for me, my experience with it, you can still do everything you normally do, but there's this weird feeling when you go about it. And yeah, that's the best way I can describe it. There's no but yeah, if it's your first comp, man, you're not going to be able to control your nerves. You're going to be in there. You're going to be fucking just. It's a different experience. It's a lot. It's a lot for one environment, one day, one moment, and just like, yeah. But my most tangible piece of advice: expect to be dead tired within the first 10 seconds, and I mean that literally. I used to say 30 seconds, but then I realized in fights I'll get tired in 10 seconds, and this is me at a blue belt level going into like world level competition. This isn't me like when I'm like a kid or a white belt. Okay, so like you're probably going to be tired in the first 10 seconds. Accept it. Again, it's not accept it and relax. It's just like accept it, and you're gonna like. I'd recommend just prepare your mind for the moment. It is still going to be much different if I had to hypothesize if you haven't competed before or done any sports before or anything like that. you can visualize it to a certain degree, but it is going to be a different experience than what you expect it to be. Um, but yeah, that's essentially the nature of competition. It's an uncomfortable experience, and then certain people enjoy the discomfort, certain people don't. And the reason why a lot of people compete is for the after fact. It feels so good once you're done it, and then the feeling of winning, that's just like fucking that's it's amazing. You can't compare it to anything else in the world, especially if you've done it at like at the highest levels. That's a freaky experience. It's an indescribable one. But even on the local level, as you're just coming up, you don't expect anything from the comp. You win, you're like, whoa, this is amazing, and it's this rush of emotions, and like that's the lore of the competition. It's the feeling of wanting to win, the feeling of pushing yourself, and you discover things about yourself. You learn how you cope with situations. You learn what better habits for you are in like situations where you have to cope with like a negative experience, or like you learn what really like even in the lead up, like you learn what makes you tick in your personal life. You learn what your focus level looks like when you're leading up to something big. You might even find out that you relax easily under pressure. Like it's going to be like a self discovery experience, and I think I think that's jiu-jitsu in general, especially if you do it over a long time frame. But I think competition really brings that out of people. Um, that's about it, really. So main takeaway: expect to be dead tired, hurting, gassed, your joints fucking hurting, your muscles hurting, your brain fog, you feel like fainting, you're dead tired, you're barely alive, basically. Expect that in the first 10 seconds, and then go in and fight. There's nothing else I can tell you. There's nothing else that's going to help. This is what's going to be for your first time, and yeah, that's it. Thank you for listening. I would appreciate to hear any thoughts on this. I know this is quite a contrarian view when it comes to competition, and especially your first one. It goes against the just have fun advice. It doesn't like cater towards that at all. But I think this is a very realistic point of view and the actual experience of most people's first comp. And this is the experience of competing a lot in general. I still experience a lot of these things. So yeah, thank you for listening, watching, whatever you're doing. Follow me on Instagram if you're seeing this on YouTube, and yeah, I appreciate you. Thank you.